In front of us today is a fleet of Japanese trucks, each not much larger than a modern GTI. But is it their size alone that justifies their existence? Why would anyone drive one? From where I'm standing, their purpose is really quite simple: to disrupt the American status quo, much like the rotary engine is beloved for its disruption of the sports car status quo. In the 70s, Mazda bet that enthusiasm could do the same for the truck market. That's a little crazy in hindsight, but we're gonna start here anyways with this anomaly. And we'll get to the Hilux Ute and Datsun Sunny truck a little later.
I actually don't use it really as a truck, but you definitely could.
I see guys constantly popping up that, oh, I just got this truck, and it's like, unfortunately, that's a parts car. That's not a project truck.
I mean, if you want to say modification, this would be the only other one, like a 12 centimeter strip knot.
Yeah, it hits the steering wheel. Okay. There is no steering. All right, we'll get her warm first. Wow, this is so cool. Okay, so yeah, of course, Mazda, rotary powered, known for FBs, FCs, FDs, and turbocharged 13Bs. Lots of fire, lots of loud noises. But here, this is a piece of Mazda's history that honestly, until my buddy Patrick mentioned this car and brought Derek into the equation for today's shoot, I really had no idea what this truck was. It is the one and only, the world's first and only rotary powered pickup truck. It's been reupholstered here. The bench seat is beautiful. This is a bit of, not really a resto mod, just kind of a restoration. It does have, oh, that sounds so good. It does have a street port. It's been street ported, so a little bit more power than factory. Wow, the brake pedal is a sponge. Oh, that sounds so good. Racing beat exhaust. 7,000 RPM. And the buzzer coming from the dash telling me to shift or else. Oh yeah, there we go. Couple pops in the exhaust. It still has some of the character that I would expect from a turbocharged rotary. And just kind of more of it comes through, to be honest. Even though this exhaust has a silencer, it's still very loud. See if we can hear it with the windows down.
All right, my name's Derek. This is my truck here. It's a Mazda 1977 REPU. I've had it for a couple of years. I bought it mostly like this. I've done a few little upgrades and cleaning a bunch of stuff up on it. And in this 77, they changed a few things. They extended the cab by 3 inches. They put a 5-speed in it, and they flattened the battery box so it wasn't flared on the box anymore.
So why rotary powered truck? Like, do you have a history of rotary powered vehicles? Or?
I do, yeah. I grew up with rotaries. I used to have RX3s, and I have one currently right now that I'm restoring. So I really like the rotaries. My son has an FC. Pretty much everything here is factory. It was a little bit smashed up when I bought it. So I redid the chrome on it, found a new grille. I got it color matched the best I could. And then just fixed up some of the dents, but everything there is factory other than the lights. I went with the yellow light, just something that I like from, you know, back in the 80s kind of pulp culture kind of look. This is all stock as well. Beauty rings, center caps. It has been lowered 3 inches. It's just cut springs and then 3-inch blocks in the back. And then I upgraded to KYB shocks when I got it because I was bouncing all over the road everywhere. Yeah, so the piston version of this never would have had the flares. It never would have had the battery box. The battery would have been under the hood. These seats were baby blue and quite torn and quite dirty, so I reupholstered them, kept the original frame, redid the springs in them, and then I redid the carpet as well.
How do you fit? What's like the tallest person you think you could fit in here and drive it comfortably?
I'm 6'2", and I fit in there no problem.
Yeah, it's a bench seat, but you're probably not fitting 3 massive, like huge adults back there.
I don't think so, no. Yeah, so I upgraded that as well. It just had a straight pipe when I bought it, so I ended up putting in a pre-silencer and a silencer and 2.5-inch 2.5-inch stainless steel to the back. The other big change here when it comes to the back of these is the taillights around, as per a lot of the rotaries. It's been upgraded. The 4-barrel has been replaced with the dual Weber. So it's kind of a rudimentary carburetor to go with, but once it's set up, yeah, it just drives. It just fire it up and away you go.
What do you use it for?
I actually don't use it really as a truck, but you definitely could. It's got the big suspension in the back. It's actually rough going down the road. You can put a big payload in it. I just drive it on sunny days. I take it to work once in a while and just try and drive it as much as I can. Just enjoy it. Yeah, a lot of people that are familiar with the truck that haven't seen it, they get pretty ecstatic when they do see it. It's kind of almost a bucket list item for them to run into one. So it's pretty exciting when that comes.
God, the throttle response is incredible. It feels nothing like an FD RX-7, if you guys are wondering. Even when I shift too, so it's got a 5-speed in here from the factory, which is pretty impressive. And when I shift, the entire shift lever it basically hits the bench here. So you're not really, there's no room for 3 people in here. In fact, there are only 2 seat belts. There's no headrest here, of course, so if I get in a crash or I bang my head on the back, that's exactly what's gonna happen. It feels like it wants to be wound out. What I was expecting kind of a more lazy version of a turbocharged rotary, just kind of a lazier version that maybe didn't encourage you to rev out as much, but this does, and because it doesn't weigh a lot. Now, out of the 3 trucks here, this, if I had to guess, is probably the most heavy. It weighs about 2,800 pounds, whereas the Nissan Sunny, it is not a body-on-frame car, or a body-on-frame truck. It is based on the same chassis as the S10 Silvia. So it's a lot lighter. Like, I'm talking about 1,000 pounds lighter than this, because this and the Toyota Hilux Ute are both body on frame, right? So a lot more weight. Yeah, it's like a K van, but without the comfort. It's like a K car, but without the comfort. You can still date, it has all the benefits of, let's say, a Honda Beat or a Suzuki Cappuccino or an AutoZam AZ1. It's got way more practicality. It's got more room in here. It's got a bed. It's got all of that. But the gap, the delta in between ride quality here versus, let's say, a modern car and a modern truck is so big. It's so big, right? You can jump into a brand new pickup truck and it's not gonna ride terribly. A brand new SUV, body on frame SUV, it's not gonna ride awful, you know. I can barely hear the buzzer over the sound of the engine. This thing's quick. Yeah, above 3,500 RPM. You really just have to keep it up higher, even more so than you would in any sequentially turbocharged 13B. This I would be totally fine driving on the freeway. I think it is a million times more drivable and livable than I would have expected. You know, keep the inputs slow, as with any of these cars. Everything's got to be just kind of, you know, the speed of life back in the 70s, I would imagine, was a lot slower than it is today. And it's interesting to get behind the wheel of a vehicle like this and just kind of to feel that in the inputs, and the way you have to drive it is so drastically different than anything you would have to drive today. You guys, if you've seen the Toyota Century video we shot, yeah, you probably recognize Dave. How's it going, man?
Or your first FRS video.
Wow, that was years ago.
Yeah. So I bought this Hilux in 2017 down in LA. Sight unseen, flew down, bought it, drove it all the way, 2,200K, one direction from LA back to Vancouver. Didn't really have any issues. It really did not like 100-degree California heat in the day. So we waited to the evening and then drove it back in the evening. All the important parts looked good. It ran well, it stopped well. So
Yeah.
like, all right, well, let's give her, and we did. It took 5 years of looking to find one. And
Wow.
then I found two, one in LA, one in San Francisco. But this one already had the front disc conversion because this is a 4-wheel drum truck. And then it also had a 5-speed swap, so no more 4-speed. So I got the two upgrades I wanted to do already in the truck. I saw a couple of them in Super Street probably about 11, 12 years ago, and they looked deadly. And that's when I decided that I had to have one. Yeah, it's just a fun little truck.
Oh yeah. The smell of gas is very real. Oh yeah, it popped out of gear there. Feels like my feet are attached to the engine. It's so strange because this mysteriously has inputs that are very reminiscent of a 911, okay? It's got the ignition on the left side, Le Mans style start, and then it's got a floor hinged gas pedal. A lot of these trucks have similar things as well. If you look at all of the beds, they all have hooks that go around. I'm guessing that's just kind of a period correct thing, a period thing. This one is, to me, out of these three specific ones, is the most utilitarian, the most, it has the biggest use case to be an actual truck, but at the same time, it is the oldest. It's a 71, so keeping it driving and on the road, smooth in the lane, takes a lot more work and effort than the rotary powered truck did. The steering's even more dead on center here, if you can imagine. It's very like, okay, it's dead, and then it kind of hooks up, and then you get some road feel. So slow. But it shifts smoothly. I'm so impressed. Is that full throttle? Oh yeah, there's some muscle in the brakes. Oh yeah, she'll stop. The brakes are there. Once you know the brakes are there, then you can really muscle it, but it is a workout. I cannot stress enough, you guys, how much slower this Hilux is than the rotary powered Mazda truck. It is another level of slow. Really cool too on this one. There's an intake on the hood there, just kind of a strip of vents that directs air directly through a duct within the hood that actually, in addition, kind of provides some structural integrity there. Feeds directly into the heater core. So you have fresh air coming directly from the front there. It's not coming through the engine bay or anything else. Very interesting how simple this is. And then of course you got two levers here, defroster, fan, and then on the right, of course, you've got circulation or fresh air. So you can decide whether it pulls in the air from that vent or not. Yeah, I can hear the additional displacement. Can't feel it though.
The 5-speed is out of a, I believe it's out of a Toyota Celica. I've repainted basically all the black plastics. The front end is, well, other than height, is all stock. The truck, other than the lowering springs in the front and lowering blocks in the back, and then all the powder coating, it's all stock. It's got KYB shocks and struts. So the bench is the original bench, but I had it recovered. And because I had it recovered, I added heated seats.
No, you did not.
I did.
Wow, where are the controls for that?
Underneath the bench.
Oh, wow, okay.
You can, because we don't have carpet, you can see the wiring right here.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's all powder coat. Candy red over silver flake. So under the hood is the original 8R. It's a 1.9 liter factory made 105 horse. On the drive back, the transmission started leaking around Portland. So transmission had to come out to get rebuilt. So I rebuilt the motor while it was out. Candy red over silver flake, matte black. And then we also do Cerakote ceramic coating. So the exhaust and intake are all Cerakoted.
Dave's powder coating you guys.
Yep.
If you're local. It looks unreal.
The only other things I've changed are springs. Oh, I changed out the 2-piston brake caliper for the 4-wheel drive 4-piston calipers. So I now have 4-piston calipers in this truck, all factory Toyota parts. I have a 98 Toyota 3RZ, 3RZ, so 2.7 liter, 150 horse, fuel injected motor for this truck. Carburetors are finicky, fuel injection is a lot easier. So yeah, that's the game plan there. On this particular truck, if you're gonna go look at a Hilux, just make sure you can get the parts, make sure it's complete. I see guys constantly popping up that, oh, I just got this truck, and it's like, unfortunately, that's a parts car. That's not a project truck. The parts for these things just don't exist anymore. If you're capable and you can swap some things, they're great. Like drivetrain, suspension, that's easy. That's all off the shelf stuff. But like your glass, the door cards, my door cards are remade.
I'm Charles. I have this Datsun Sunny truck for about 5 years or so. Imported from Taiwan right before COVID, I want to say 2018. Drove it around in Taiwan for about a week, traveling with my wife, and imported it here. I'm actually Taiwanese, so I'm a big fan of drifting. So back then, back in my home country, there weren't so many of the rear-wheel drive cars that you can drift with. Either you go with BMWs, which is more of the baller way, or these, piece of crap. Back in the days was kind of like cheap. Oh, you can bash one in and buy another one the next day, kind of thing. Yeah. Well, nowadays I guess this price is getting up a little bit, huh? It's a '89 truck. The previous owner changed it to the yellow with the black hood. The bumper, I would say, originally it would be more of like Dave's and Derek's truck with the chrome, shorter, just one bar right there with the signal lights kind of embedded into them. Mm-hmm. But the previous owner kind of changed it to a later model style Datsun, more of a square look, has the lip. Funny thing is that, don't fact check me, Google the years down, Yeah. Since the 70s, I believe they started making the Sunny trucks. It stays the same look until probably 91, 92. And then the only change was they changed it to square lights, but the rest of the body were all that same. And then there were two versions of it. This is the long bed, and then there's another, of course, the short bed.
So what's under the hood? What are these powered by?
They were originally A12, so if you're in the Aussie, they call it the Ute 1200. If you're in Japan, it's the Sanitora 1200. From Taiwan, it's actually called Yulong 303 T. T stands for truck. And then the previous owner changed it to A15, so 1.5. Slightly more juice out of it, just that little more.
Instant regret. Yeah, it hits the steering wheel. Okay. So this one should drive a little bit better, and immediately it drives much closer to a car. And then they basically just put leaf springs in the back and decided to put a truck bed, attach a truck bed to it. And there you have it. You have what is a great city runabout car, especially over in Japan or Taiwan or Hong Kong or all these densely packed cities. But that's also practical, and it also rides nice. So this rides a million times better than the other two. Now, it's got the knockoff wheels, it's got the knockoff seats here, the Sparko seats. Again, kind of like Dave's truck, it's got the aftermarket tack here, but in the factory location. That's really cool. It's got a shift light, which is handy. I wasn't sure what the red line is, but 5,000 we need to shift, so. Oh yeah, there we go, there's some proper brakes. I am shifting with Charles' optional shift knob here, where he just rolls up to car meets in. So this is my shifting. Shifts nice and smooth though, just kind of naturally goes into gear. Probably shift with one finger here. Just tuck it back, we're good. It's a lot quieter in the cabin. The sound deadening is way better. Steering is way better. So it's still got dead on center steering, and then it really hooks up, and then it actually kind of feels a little bit closer to what I would expect from like a Datsun 510 or something like that. A little bit better.
It's just a show shiner, trailer queen, so to speak.
Yeah.
I did trailer the car in town, you know, to drive it around, and I'm gonna trailer it back afterwards. So.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like the impracticality of the mini trucks begin to come out when you see somebody trailering it.
You definitely feel the semi truck passing you by on the right hand side. You feel the wind gusts and the truck shakes a little bit. Yeah, they're light. Well, mostly into drifting. I got a drift Mustang, you know, another 350Z. That's a drift car as well. I'm a truck guy as well. I have another Ford Lightning. You know, the older ones, not the electrical guys, of course. But yeah. But it kind of has the right, you know, I would say era correct modification, like gnarly wheels, a little tachometer, and then the little flower acrylic shift knob.
Do you want to show the people your other?
I mean, if you want to say modification, this would be the only other one, like a 12 centimeter strip knob.
It's quite long, quite ridiculous, but.
My God. Like, is it kind of comfortable or no?
Ooh, not at all. Rough. You know, we were going over the railroad crossing. Like both of our trucks were actually jumping, like right, pop. I was like, oh, I guess we should take it a little slower than we should. Factory metal, but then the previous owner just kind of painted black. It's not even like bed liners or anything. It's kind of for aesthetics. But they're in decent, I guess it was a decent condition. Of course, they need a lot of love. Surprisingly, yeah, I just thought of that. This truck comes with AC.
You could daily drive this.
You could, yeah, maybe to the grocery store.
Yeah.
You know, eggs and milk. But
yeah.
Other than that, I wouldn't really want to take it to the highway. I thought about doing the 09 Racing the whole Hakusuka front end conversion, but you know, just still on the edge of it because I do like the look of the 2 round lights.
Well, thanks, Charles.
Thank you, guys.
That was great. And I feel like people that buy these trucks, mini trucks, K cars in general, are kind of doing a soft middle finger to the American way of life. You know, importing these cars, kind of trying to offset a little bit of the bulk of real estate, road real estate, we could call it, that these trucks take up. Yeah, you can manhandle this one. This one likes to be abused. It's not actually that slow either. So smooth. This feels like a luxury car compared to those other trucks. I mean, this feels so much lighter than the other ones. So nimble. Okay, so I figured it out. The rotary pickup truck is for cars and coffee. It's for cruising on a Sunday and hitting a bit of a twisty mountain road. You can do that with that car, and it sounds great, right? This is an autocross car. It's kind of what you could use as a daily. You could absolutely daily this, yet it still, as a byproduct, just has a bed that you can use every once in a while. And then the Hilux is, okay, you're not taking that on a twisty mountain road. That is a truck. You might need earplugs. It's not a daily, and it is the most rugged of the type. But of course, that comes with the Hilux brand. So that's kind of how I could sum up these 3 vehicles today. Of course, you guys probably know the popular thing to do. Some people have done. I've seen a few amazing builds online where you would take a Hakosuka or a Hakusuka GTR original front end and stick it on this, and then people call it a Hakatora. It looks amazing. When I was briefly in Japan a few years ago, our friend Danny over there, who I met through a friend in Japan, put me in touch with him. We went over there, and he was in the process of building a Hakatora, and I saw that in person. I believe he was throwing an SR20 in it, which makes sense. It comes kind of with the lineage. So thanks guys for watching. Thank you, Patrick, for putting this entire shoot together. Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Charles, for bringing your trucks out. This has been so much fun. To drive all 3 of these back to back is pretty remarkable. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We'll see you next time.